Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, pranam, pranam. Pranam, pranam. So where did we stop yesterday, day for yesterday? Eh?
Tejasvinaham Namaham.
Something is, your mic is not clear.
Audio is not clear, Sharma ji.
Tejasvinamaham.
Namasmi.
What was the chapter?
10th chapter 36 shloka.
ഒന്നും പറഞ്ഞാൽ മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ല.
ഇല്ല 10th chapter 36th shloka.
Actually, 12th chapter up to that revision was going on, Swamiji, in between this sloka.
We know that. We are asking them only, no? We are asking them how far they are. The 36th sloka, we were trying to understand that behind everything, not only the labeled positive one, but the labeled negative one is also God. Normally we have a tendency to associate godliness or God thought only with our own labeled persons, objects and situations. Actually it is not so. In the 36th sloka he gives this idea that I am there in everybody. Whether you call it as a negative or positive, I am there. And later on when we start thinking about deeply, we find every day when we repeat Prabhu Vishwanatha, the same idea Papa gives us, Ase nirmitatu jagatpalaga nasha karta. Creator, destroyer, protector and destroyer. So the destroying takes place through various forms. So he is behind everything. When we know he is behind everything, our whole attitude changes. Papa says it. We cannot do away with the thought, but we can transform the thought. So when we go out and slip and suppose we fall and we get fractured. We will, though the pain will be there, though there will be a shock felt by us, still in the shortest possible time we know that it is He who is behind this. He may have His own reasons to make us do so. And from the various biographical sketches of masters, including Papa, Mata, we know that the adverse circumstances, which were unpalatable to us or to them, it is a blessing in disguise to make them turn towards the indwelling and all-pervading reality. So if God has not given that extreme stressful period, Vittal Rao would have been continued as a Vittal Rao. You and I will not be sitting here. So God has got a plan, and for which He has to make His creations to pass through varying types of experiences. So this particular sloga reminds us that behind everything, that is why he said, behold divinity in every aspect of this world, Leela. Even 1,000 times we will not be able to accept, agreed. But that is the reality, we should try to agree. Behold divinity in every aspect of this world, Leela. Verily it is He at play in all beings and creatures. So that was why He directed us to this particular sloga, 36 in chapter number 10. And then, anything else? How many chapters we completed? So,
12 chapters. 12 chapters.
12 chapters.
12th chapter. So from the first to 12th, suppose if we start remembering, it is the attachment that prevents us from enjoying the peace. For enjoying the peace, what is most essential is to somehow pray to Him for enabling us to develop equanimity, efficiency in whatever we do, non-expectation of the fruit of our action, vigilant over our sense organs, holding on to values. Of all this, we will give 100 marks to equanimity. Because we are ultimately, we want peace, peace, peace and peace. So if we can maintain this sense of equanimity under any trying circumstances, even if there is a disturbance at the superficial level in the shortest possible time, we must be able to hold on to the self. So that was the major theme in second chapter. When we move to the third chapter, we know none of us can remain without acting, without action, without karma. So then we try, since nothing has been brought by us, since nothing is owned by us, everything belongs to Him only. So we try to bring the dimension of dedication of all our actions to Him. Fourth one also emphasizes about the same thing. Ownership, enjoyership, sufferership, sense of agency, all these things are the hurdles. For peace, what is needed is this: becoming always aware that he is behind. He is behind every thought, every word, every deed. Then we move to the fifth. Okay, for peace, let me not do any action. No, that is not the answer. Nobody can remain without any action. Because wherever we go, we travel with the mind. If the mind sees all negative tendencies here, it will see the same negative tendency elsewhere also. We used to share one anecdote during our value-based sessions with the students. One old man was sitting by the side of a petrol bunk. One person, neatly dressed, very active, he came there, stopped his motorbike, came towards this old man. He said, "How are people here?" So he looked at him. "Where are you coming from?" "I'm coming from such and such a place." "How are the people there?" Very selfish, self-centered, always talking about themselves. Here also it is something like saying like that. After some time, another person came. He said, "I would like to spend a week in this village. I like this place. How are the people here?" So he asked, "Where are you coming from?" "How are the people there?" "Very loving. In fact, when I told them that I will be away, they said, 'Don't go.'" Then he said, "Here also people are like that." So his grandson was sitting. He was looking at this old man. The first person you said, here also like that. Second person takes a different, here also like that. So you are telling a lie. Then the old man replied to his grandson, "It is not a lie, it's the truth." They come with that mindset. So they will see only bad people. When you come with the mindset that they are good, you will see only good people. So this is how the fifth chapter touches and kindles in us. So no use of renouncing the life. Better change your attitude. Be the change. That will give us peace. Peace can come only by changing our attitude towards the rest of the creation. And when we move to the sixth, we find that this peace can be unearthed only by imposing certain disciplines in us. One-pointedness, moderation, equanimity, followed by dispassion and practice. All these will try to become aware that peace is within us. We move to the seventh. Normally the peace gets disturbed because of the different nature and temperament of others. We see them as different because we are unaware of the origin. Everybody and everything has come from him only. When I come to know that, these things will not disturb me. All these things we have to tally with our own experience. So the different characteristics which we see, which apparently causes disturbance, we see behind it that the same. The origin is same. Same artist on the same canvas, with the same brush, with the same paint, brings out different caricatures, touching and evoking different responses from us. And from there, so the peace will come when we know the source. God's Viber. Then from there we move to the 8th. If you are always conscious of the transient nature of the body, mind, intellect. In the 2nd chapter also this comes. But here it is elaborately brought out. So what samskaras I carry here? Peace can come only when I develop good samskaras. If I unknowingly, unwittingly develop bad samskaras, it will rebound on me. Mataji used to say, if you see littleness in others, the same littleness is in yourself. If you see goodness in others, you will see the goodness in yourself. So here in the 8th chapter, elaborately deals with the transient nature of the body, and unless we try to keep up these good samskaras at the time of leaving, we will be taking those which are the capital for our next. So peace is still a distant experience. So if we have to have peace, good samskaras we develop. And the 9th, we feel everything is His. When we get riveted in it, it's a postgraduate, not merely a postgraduate. We have come from Him, everything has been provided by Him. He is making us to think, act, talk. When I get stabilized in it, peace is always there. Right trial method. Then we move to the 10th. As Vinobaji says, the whole creation is God's book. In every page it is written the name of God. That means every creation, and in which there is no good, bad, everything is His. When I start developing this idea, I will be at peace. And 11th also, in 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshan, I am trying to see the varied manifestations, the beauty and the grandeur of it. And when I bring in the God dimension, automatically the peace has started emerging in my mind. Then we move to the 12th. One of the ways for unearthing the peace within is to develop values. Values means journey from me to we. Expanding ourselves, expanding our love and circle, quality, care and concern for others, simple living habits, becoming neutral. So she is listing so many things. All that is for paving the way for the emergence of the peace within. And now we come to the 13th. So like this, the whole Gita should come back to us very often. Every now and then when we are alone, suppose we are trying to bring, and then go to the text, a new thing will also be there. But we will have some base now. Though it is not anywhere connected with the comprehensive knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Still it gives us an entry, a visa, a passport, a password. Password to enter into the Gita. Gita mansion is a very big mansion. So first we try to go through everywhere and come back and try to develop this. Next time when we go, we need a password. So now each chapter, the main password is peace eternal. So when we type out peace eternal from each chapter, the interpretation keeps on coming. Let us follow methods like this so that the 700 shlokas, at least some of it comes to us, which will help us to really enjoy the peace. Say peace, Papa says, utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. In that stillness it is that you know and realize God. Peace, stillness, everything synonyms. Out of this silence, tremendous forces are released, wonders are worked. Learn to be silent. It is not merely outer silence, but inner silence, silence of the mind. When we recede into the depths of silence within us, we arrive at the true basis of our life. We discover that from this source all life and manifestation have come forth in their amazing variety and multiplicity. It is at this source that we discover the eternal fountain of peace and joy. So peace and joy is within us. These words of Papa give us, we are connecting this with the Bhagavad Gita. The previous one, when we recede into the depths of silence within us, we arrive at the true basis of our life. Our true basis of our life is nothing but peace. We discover that from this source all life and manifestation have come forth in their amazing variety and multiplicity. It is at this source that we discover the eternal fountain of peace and joy. Until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence, this peace, he will be simply groping on the surface and therefore in the dark, in pursuit of vain and evanescent things, believing that these can yield him the true peace and happiness which his whole hungers for. until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence of peace, he will be simply groping on the dark, on the surface, and therefore in the dark, in pursuit of vain and evanescent things, believing that these can yield him the true peace and happiness which his whole hungers for. So this should be, we should be very clear about it. Why are we talking about peace, peace, peace? That is the basis. And everyone is happy, no? We don't have to bring happiness to peace. Peace itself. It's a joyful, blissful experience. So we should have some clarity, trying to get. We will not be able to have the clarity of peace until and unless we taste the peace. But all of us are given the opportunity to taste the peace. But that peace is not the eternal peace. Here we are talking about peace eternal, that which stays with us always. Even in the midst of trying moments, stressful period, if that feeling stays with us, that is called peace eternal. And now Papa says that is our base. So Bhagavad Gita now, in the past 12 chapters, we found some clues to become aware of the peace within. So we go to the 13th chapter now. The peace gets disturbed because it is limited. We limit ourselves. The whole thing stops. That is called the me and mine. Whereas every day God is teaching us that though we have a body, mind, intellect, equipment, we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect. We are different from the equipment only because we have this equipment. We are not belittling the existence of body, mind, intellect. Because we are in this body, we have come to know that we are not the body. But unfortunately, we start identifying ourselves totally with the body, mind, intellect, equipment. When I say I am tired, I am weak, I am fatty, I identify myself with the body. Today, I am not in a mood. Then we identify with the mind. Today I got the breakthrough. Then we identify ourselves with the intellect. This is how we have trained ourselves to identify ourselves totally with body, mind, intellect. At the same time, we know at the time of sleep, we are unaware of the body, the mind, and the intellect, but we are still alive. During our deep sleep state, during the waking state itself, we know we are not the body. We can see our body, we can feel our body. So the feeler of the body, the seer of the body must be different from the body. Simple logic. Similarly, mind and intellect are nothing but thoughts. We know we have positive thoughts, we know we are passing through negative thoughts. Who is knowing? So even during the waking state, a little contemplation, a little effort on our part to make use of the past moments to analyze. Then we realize that we have a body, we have a mind, we have an intellect. But we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect. And to make it perfect during my deep sleep state, all these three are absent totally, but at the same time I am alive. That is why after the sleep I come and say I had good sleep. So in the 13th chapter, elaborately it has been discussed. The body and the knower of the body. For enabling us, because if we know that all the disturbances that affect our peace, it stems from identification with body, mind, intellect. So when we know that we are not the BMI, body, mind, intellect, naturally our peace will not be disturbed. So here the Lord brings out values which help us to differentiate between, to discriminate between the knower of the body and the body. So studying the inseparable relationship between the sense of individuality and the reality within, and reiterating the transient nature of the body, mind, intellect, and the immutable nature of reality strengthens the eternal values, all of which help in unearthing the latent peace. So 13th chapter enables us to clearly make us understand the difference between the knower of the body, mind, intellect and the body, mind, intellect. That is the one that prevents me in not becoming aware of my peace, serenity, calmness. From there we move to the 14th. Another disturbing factor for our peace is the different taste and temperaments of the people, of the objects, of the situations we come in contact with. So here the Lord advises the genesis of the three gunas. Deeply contemplating on the genesis of the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, which is responsible for the nature of the sense of individuality, and feeling separateness from others reduces the stress caused by events and individuals. Peace can be had only by knowing that He, the core of our being, is separate from the gunas. When a short-tempered man, suppose he shouts at somebody, good person. Suppose we go to their house and he says something. His wife or children will call us inside. Don't worry, we'll be all right. Slightly short-tempered, that's all. Suddenly he will, then afterwards he will be quiet. No. So the correct evaluation of the gunas, that will give us the peace. So 14th chapter elaborately discusses about the various facets of these gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. And it originates from him. In order to have his play, he has to bring in these different gunas. Just like in a drama or a cinema or a serial, not that everybody behaves in the same manner, then we will not have any interest to look at it. Because there are different characteristics brought out by different characters. There is a charm in it. But we are not affected because we know it is only a play. The director has assigned, allotted the role of a hero or a villain, or a helper of the hero or the villain, like that, So he can't but act because of that. So here Bhagavan says, takes us to that, makes us to convince, so that the peace is always becomes conspicuous. And from there we move to the 15th. Here also we introduced to the same theme. 14th over, no, gunas. 15th, it's called Purushottama Yoga. Because we try to become aware that only He is there. He has given us a sense of individuality, and rest of the things are articles of worship towards Him. So anything that I do at home, anything that I do at office, anything that I do at with friends, it should bear the stamp of love. Many of us will remember Mataji's words. This is Papa, this is Papa, this is Papa. So not only the inside one, whatever is seen outside. The Purushottama Yoga is also the condensed yoga of everything. And then from there we move to 16th. Always bring this peace idea, What is blocking my peace is the down-pulling tendencies, which I feel I have got over. But Lord Krishna gives us this idea, no, it is there. We have to uproot it. We would have cut it. Again it will sprout. So Asuri Sampat and Devi Sampat. He has listed about 26 values. Tools by which we can excavate and bring out peace from us. Peace lying dormant. The other day we showed a video, you remember? Aptoktim Khananam. A beautiful sloga from Vivek Chudamani of Adi Shankara, where he says, the treasure is within, but we have to unearth it, excavate it. Dutkarshanam Sigridim Nikshepa Samkshepate Nahibahi Shabdaistu Nirgachati Tatvat Brahma Vidobadesha Manana Dhyana Vidirlabhyade Maya Karya Tirohitam Swamamalam Tattvam Na Duryuktabihi. Only not by discussing, not by chatting, not by analyzing, But only when we go deep down within, we can unearth the peace that is within. So 26 values have been highlighted here. When we go with that, we do the excavation, Abhayam Sattvasam Shuddhi, it starts, and at the end, we will be able to know the peace eternal within us. Whatever debris, whatever that is blocking the treasure, they are called the asuric forces, they are to be abandoned. So with that we again go to this 17th chapter. Peace can be, we become aware of the peace only when, not only, this is another method. We develop our payback to Mother Nature, to the society and to the body. Yajna, Dana, Tapas. We convert every activity, when we convert every activity of ours as a payback to Mother Nature, as a payback to the society, as a payback to the equipment, then we become aware of the peace eternal. Yajna is giving back to the Mother Nature, Dana is giving back to the society, Tapas is giving back to the body, mind, intellect, equipment. Because it is because of this body, mind, intellect, equipment, the sense of individuality, that we came to know about peace eternal and we come to unearth this also. So it is also equally valid. So through austerities, we try to pay back to the body, mind, intellect, equipment. Through dana, to the society. Through yajna. Yajna means here any productive activity. Any seeing a cotton, no? The journey from the cotton to the dress level, no? Seeing the rise to any eatables. Just think about it. It's productive, so that it becomes useful to everybody. All production, all types of production, it comes under this yajna. So in 17th chapter he touches about Shraddhatrayam. With the Shraddha we try to bring this attentiveness, whole souled. There also he touches upon the gunas, touches upon the division of labor. That will all help us to get peace. And finally, the 18th chapter. Realization of the indwelling peace, no? Where he sums up all that he has discussed so far. Development of total surrender of the sense of individuality, elaborate study of the gunas, respect for the division of labor that ensures the healthy existence of this society. Finally, the recognition that all of life is a pre-scripted play of the divine. Behind everything, he is there, he is there, he is there. So the sense of individuality totally disappears. That is the one which separates me from the peace eternal. So I become one with the sense of Individuality becomes one with the cosmic reality. Just like the river joins the ocean. The moment it joins, it loses its separate identity. The second chapter is beautifully mentioned, Apuryamana Machala Pradishtam. Then it becomes Achalam. No? The peace only exists. Serenity only exists. Calmness, quietude. So that is why he says, Manobaji in the final one he says, there is only he and he alone. You, the sense of individuality, become a zero. So this is how, when we look at it with the peace angle, we get clues from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It is easy for us to remember. It is not full and complete. There could be different types of facets. But this is one form of easily remembering the contents of the 18th chapter, which will be useful for our daily life. Because everybody is a seeker of peace. And for a seeker of peace, clues are given in these 18 chapters. So when we take up in-depth study of Bhagavad Gita, suppose we have the foundation like this, it will be very, very helpful. Because it is such a long one, 18 chapters having about 700 slokas. And then we ask ourselves, what is the use if I learn this? In what way it helps me? When you start chanting the first sloka, when you reach say about 50 or 60, you would have already forgotten all the 40s. So there should be a method, because not one or two, 700 slokas. And we are approaching it as a manual for our daily life. Papa says, the Bhagavad Gita is a veritable mosaic of eternal wisdom. It has not left unsolved a single problem pertaining to the conduct of life, human life, both in its spiritual and physical spheres. For the highest truths of philosophy, and also for a perfect light on the practical side of life, one has to go through this great work. The message of the entire Gita is to reveal the harmony and identity of the soul with God and of God with nature. The Bhagavad Gita is a veritable mosaic of eternal wisdom. It has not left unsolved a single problem pertaining to the conduct of human life, both in its spiritual and physical spheres. Day-to-day life. For the highest truths of philosophy and also for a perfect light on the practical side of life, one has to go to this great work. The message of the entire Gita is to reveal the harmony and identity of the soul with God and God with nature. It must be within the experience of every student of the Gita that the majority of the commentators on this great scripture have drawn out such truths from it as would coincide with their own views and predilections, and who have presented them to the world as the whole secret of this many-sided, all-comprehensive mine of wisdom. Some read into the Gita an emphatic call to renounce all action in the world as the ultimate goal. Some others argue that Gita holds devotion to a personal God as the essential creed of it. Some would have it that Gita urges the soul to plunge into action, making that alone the sole criterion and the one necessary condition for human existence. Again, some others, taking the Mahabharata war, including the Gita, as only an allegoric exposition of the eternal truths, interpret the teachings from their viewpoint as embodying an uncompromising cult of ahimsa. Each one of these expounders of the Gita is right from the angle of vision by which he has struggled to understand the scripture. But the whole truth enshrined in its 18 chapters is all that they have said put together and much more besides. For an all-round, authoritative, conclusive, comprehensive treatise on the Gita, among the commentaries of the present day, one has to turn to the illuminating and inspiring volumes of essays on the Gita by Sri Aurobindo. To understand life and realize its glory integrally, one has to study the Gita in all its phases and from all standpoints. To have a partial view of a particular aspect of it alone and to hold forth that as the whole truth has been the cause of imperfection in spiritual experience. The purpose of the Gita is to proclaim that human life is essentially divine, spiritually, mentally, physically. Its one aim is to prove that spirit and matter are one and the same. Activity in the world, whatever form it may take, as circumstances and conditions demand, is not a thing to be shunned or renounced. What is needed is to divinize life through the attainment of freedom from the individual sense by the mergence of into God, who is at once the soul, the universe, the all-transcendent, all-inclusive truth. The soul whose life is thus liberated, the Gita says, is utterly divine in all his movements, significant as well as insignificant. No action for him is but a natural and spontaneous flow of divine energy acting through him. As God's supreme will determines, this energy works through him equally to create, to preserve and to destroy. Since this illumined personality intuitively bases his actions on the vision of the universal reality and performs them in a state entirely bereft of the individual sense, they do not affect him for good or evil. So long as the ego, so long as the soul misses this acme of attainment. What is this attainment? Illumined personality intuitively bases his action on the vision of the universal reality and performs them in a state free from the sense of individuality. They do not affect him for good or evil. So long as the soul misses this acme of attainment, he flounders in the morass of conflicting reality, conflicting dualities, good and evil, virtue and sin, himsa and ahimsa, pleasure and pain. The divine Shakti works in the universe both for constructive and for destructive purposes. Only when the Supreme Power acts in man through his lower nature, it is vitiated with greed, lust, selfishness. In this state, in whatever manner he acts, his works are tainted. For personal aggrandizement, such as for wealth, power, glory, he would launch into any kind of action, irrespective of its nature, as ahimsa or himsa. Whereas the same Shakti, when she acts in a man, entirely free from egoistic impulse or ambition, does so for the uplift and protection of the oppressed and the innocent humanity. Here Shakti may work through the purified medium, creatively or destructively. Creation and destruction are concomitant movements. We can never separate them. Every new creation has its basis the destruction of the old. This is the law of nature, universally applicable. We cannot palliate, shirk or ignore this law of God, controlling all the activities of nature, including those of human beings. When we were reading, we were remembering. When we were introduced to the computer, at that time we were having this floppy, you remember? No, where is floppy? Gone. Then came disk. That is also gone now. Then pen drive. It is also now disappearing. Construction, destruction, no? Tape recorder, camera, torch. All in this 11th avatar of Bhagavad, mobile, no? Think about it. Small vendor shops and a big mall. Many people, the construction, destruction of many small vendors, because you feel like going to the mall and buy it. Because why? Everything is available there. Think about it. We all accept these theories, but we are not aware of these theories, So this is the law of nature. Creation and destruction are concomitant movements. Wonderful word. We can never separate them. Every new creation has at its basis the destruction of the old. This is the law of nature, universally applicable. We cannot palliate, shirk or ignore this law of God controlling all the activities of nature, including those of human beings. It is ever there, facing us at every turn. The saving grace for man in the field of action lies only in his acting as an instrument of the divine. In a state of utter freedom from the touch and recoil of action. Here what is essentially is complete dedication of all its life's action to the will and power of the Almighty, dwelling in the hearts of all beings, creatures and things. Else, otherwise what happens? If we move only on the vicious circle of harassing pairs of opposites and attempt to cling on to one of them for attainment of true freedom and peace, we can never reach the goal. Doubts and fears will never arise in the mind of such a man, and he will become a scared creature, always a prey to impatience, suspicion, despair, uncertainty. Therefore, the command of Sri Krishna is rise always, rise beyond the dualities, rise beyond the dharmas and the gunas, rise beyond all conditioned states of existence, conceived of and set up as standard by the fettered mind and intellect, and be one with me, the all-transcendent reality. Then act in life as my instrument, as my vibhuti, myself revealed in and as your form and body. This is the deliverance I offer you. This is the supreme blessedness in which I grant you the bliss of immortality. Papa is summing up the whole cream of Bhagavad Gita. Rise beyond the dualities, rise beyond the dharmas of the gunas, rise beyond all conditioned states of existence, conceived of and set up as standards by the fettered mind and intellect. Be one with me. I am the all-transcendent reality, and then act in life as my instrument, as vibhuti, as my vibhuti, myself revealed in and as your form, your body. This is the deliverance that I offer you. This is the supreme blessedness in which I grant you the bliss of immortality. Spontaneity of life, he caps it again beautifully. Spontaneity of life, born of purity and ignorance, a consciousness of immortal freedom, and a condition of perfect ecstasy and peace is the one supreme note and refrain of the voice that rings through the Gita. If we remember this, that will help us a lot. Spontaneity of life, born of purity and innocence, a consciousness of the immortal freedom. We are not bound by anything, Spontaneity of action, born of purity and innocence, and consciousness of the immortal freedom, and a condition of perfect divine ecstasy and peace is the one supreme note and refrain of the voice that rings through the Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavad Gita. Just like we saw the peace, suppose we take it up as the basis, spontaneity of life, we will find clues from all these 18 chapters. So as devotees, our job is to take one aspect and start digging, so that Gita slowly will become ours. Though in entirety it may not become ours, but at least some portion, some clues, some hints that will get embedded in us, which will slowly, project itself in all our thoughts, words and deeds. Spontaneity of action based on purity and innocence, a consciousness of our immortal freedom, and always becoming aware of the divine ecstasy and peace. This is the message that rings through the entire 18 chapters. So these are the words of wisdom, pearls of wisdom of beloved Papa on Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a veritable mosaic of eternal wisdom. Unless I enjoy it, I will not be able to declare that it is a veritable wisdom, mosaic. It has not left unsolved a single problem pertaining to the conditioned human life, both in its spiritual and physical spheres. For the highest truths of philosophy, and also for the perfect light on the practical side of life, one has to go to this great work. The message of the entire Gita is to reveal the harmony and identity of the soul with God, God with nature. So today he chose to give us in a capsule form, no? Tomorrow we shall have an overview. Every now and then we have to refresh, no? And after that we can again go through values and Gita. Then later on we can try to say gunas and Gita. Then pick and choose some of the problem that we are confronted with every day. And then how do we relate Gita? You know? An example, 10 problems we identify and we try to identify the different slokas. This will all help us. Each one has to undertake by himself. This session will not help beyond that level. So Gita with values, Gita and gunas, Gita and peace eternal, selective problems and how Gita addresses, Gita and peace eternal, overview of the entire Gita. Like that we will try, you know. Every now and then we will read like this 11, 17, 18 chapters so that we get to know. Now with this peace eternal, we know now that we have to find out how do I get peace. Peace is my original nature. How do I get my original nature? What way does this chapter help us? Is it becoming clear? Not very clear. Okay. Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, pranam, pranam.